It was shocking. It was so shocking. And also, I mean, we were just fresh off of another incident that happened, with the young man that was jogging, and watching that video and seeing him, you can obviously tell he is in fear of his life. It just, these things were happening throughout the week, and then it was just, for me, it was really like, okay, what is this gonna stop? What is going on?
It's hard to comprehend. It's hard to comprehend in the sense that in the year 20, I mean, I came to this country in 1976 from Nigeria. That was 40-something years ago, and I remember some terrible times. But the condition of the situation, race relationship is, gradually, it's a snail's pace.
Yeah.
It's moving towards the right position that it should be. But there's so many other things that is holding it in place, holding it unchangeable, making it difficult for certain things or certain people that are living in the United States, in the great United States, to have a solid, clear voice in the affairs of man.
Yeah.
But are we going to get there? That's another question, and I'll wait for Monica to bring that up.
Yeah.
So.
No, definitely, it's definitely hard to know. Like, the change is so slow, and it's
so slow.
I hate that these things happen. We have to have basically a martyr just to put it in our face for it to be relevant, and it's just.
Yeah, he's a martyr. He's a martyr.
Yes,
he is. And God, and again, that God factor comes in again, because the father could have chosen George Floyd. Because he has his own ways. He has things that he does in his own way. You and I will never be able to comprehend the magnanimity of God. So I am suggesting, or rather I'm saying, or implying, that he could have used Mr. George Floyd, as the one to represent the dynamic of the shift in anger that you see with the people all over the world. It's not just in San Francisco, anywhere. It's all over the world. In London, even in Lagos, Nigeria. People are just clamoring.
That
Mexico.
really blew my mind when I started seeing the protests happen around the world, and that this is really significant. When I saw that, this is not going away.
So I do want to, it's very clear to us when we watch this video that this is a matter of racism. This brutally murdered George Floyd in the name of hatred and racism. And we are confused why some people are not seeing it that way. They're seeing it as maybe just an act of violence, but it's not tied to racism. And it seems so apparent that it's racism. And, unless everyone can come to terms with what the problem is, which is the systemic racism, then we can't move forward. If people are not acknowledging this, then we can't fix the problem. So just in your opinion, I don't know, have any opinions on why some people are not seeing it that way? Why it's not clear or obvious to some people?
It's I think about when I grew up, my parents taught me, manners and things like that. And I was always taught, there's certain topics you don't talk about. And, polite, if you're going to be polite, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about race, you don't talk, there's you don't talk about. And we very much have, I think some people, they have grown up that way too. It's just, we've been taught to not talk about these uncomfortable things. We're taught to, and then also in Hispanic cultures, sometimes, I know for me personally, you're taught to kind of let things just kind of get stuffed down, and you don't talk about it. Yeah. And I think almost like people don't know what to think, because it's such an uncomfortable thing to say. It's such an uncomfortable thing to I feel like people feel that way, to call each other out, or
So the thing about, the question that you asked is, why are people not getting it, or why are some people not getting it? they get it. They're just it's self-denial. Look,
Yeah,
I'm
they
telling
don't wanna.
you, they
Yeah.
get this,
Yeah.
but the hardcore racists
Yeah.
among us
Oh,
would
definitely.
never change,
Right.
no matter what they see happen or unfold before their eyes.
Right.
Because you see, 400 years of
Right.
inadequate provisions being meted out to a particular race of people because they live amongst many. Nothing has changed for mostly black and minorities and brown people and most of those, every other person inside
Yeah.
except for the white race.
Yeah.
And do I, as a black man, would wish that I'm white? No, because I don't know anything about being white. I know more about being
Yeah.
a black man.
Right.
So I don't envy white people. And they shouldn't envy me
Yeah.
because it is that same soul that I have, that you have, that drives all of us, that compels us to move in the right direction. And that is why, again, if you look at the history of humanity, it is the same thing that Hitler brought up and had 6 million Jews killed. Because he hated the Jews. He hated the Jews. And as far as I'm concerned, the Jews looked like him.
Right.
But he found a reason
Yeah.
to single them out
Right.
and massacred 6 million of them.
Yeah.
So if that happened just 70 years ago,
Right.
I'm telling you, there is no reason not to believe that given a chance that it will not happen again, but
Right.
God forbid.
Right. So we do need to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back, y'all.
Our nation is being seriously affected, not only emotionally, but also clinically. Parents or guardians dealing with a teenager in crisis that required transport to an appropriate treatment facility makes that decision even more difficult. My Armor Services Transport is here to help. Their agents are personal protection officers and private investigators, state certified and trained to accommodate firm boundaries and de-escalations, all while recognizing your loved one's individuality and dignity. Most times your loved one will not respond favorably to being placed in a treatment program. Positive and safe transportation assistance becomes critical when violent or defiant behavior to a placement is anticipated. My Armor Services Transport understands this is a difficult time for you and your family. They are committed to transporting your loved one with dignity, respect, securely, and with compassion. Let them assist with this heavy burden. Call today at 1-800-341-0919 and let My Armor Services Transport be the first strong step you take toward resolving this difficult and complicated issue.
In this digital age, conventional business cards are a thing of the past. In fact, most people lose them in minutes of having received them. The Nowmedia video business card is recorded with cutting-edge technology designed to be sent out quickly and easily using your smartphone. It features your contact information, summary of all your company's products and services, as well as giving you a fresh and innovative look. Hundreds of companies are already seeing the difference. Call us at 832-384-9588.
Bacteria and viruses like COVID-19, as well as indoor toxins, are a serious and sometimes deadly risk for your children, your loved ones, and your employees. Earth Blue Systems is the solution that ensures a seamless sanitization and odor elimination process by using ozone, nature's powerful and safe oxidizer. As a matter of fact, there are no known bacteria or viruses which are resistant to ozone and its oxidizing effects. Ozone is one of the most powerful disinfectants available, eliminating the need for harsh chemicals or detergents. Ozone gas from Earth Blue's process leaves absolutely no residue. Clothing, bedding, and linens will be sanitized and smelling fresh and clean, but most importantly, sanitized. Food is not harmed. In fact, ozone is approved by the FDA as a food additive preservative and is commonly used for water purification. Earth Blue Systems technology is a less costly alternative to other methods of solving mold and air quality issues. Take a strong and decisive step to keep your family and company odorless and safe. Contact Earth Blue Systems at 713-419-7506.
Hello, I'm Francisco Sanchez, Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator for Harris County. April 1st is National Census Day, and it has never been easier to respond on your own, whether online, over the phone, or by mail, all while maintaining social distance and without having to meet a census taker. By being counted in the 2020 census, you will help determine funding for emergency services that are critical to helping us respond to COVID-19 and other disasters like flooding and hurricanes. We all count, and we all get to shape our future by participating in the 2020 census. You have until August 14th to participate, but don't wait. Do it today. Visit 2020census.gov for more information.
So what we're watching here now is the horrific video of the brutal murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while we should be forced to look, I have to be honest, it's hard for me to do it.
And if you watch his lackadaisical attitude when he's killing somebody,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, hands in pocket.
No, it is. It's definitely, it was very uncomfortable because you, at that point where you know it's been way too long.
Yeah.
It's, and all you want is just it to
This
stop.
is, I mean, if you watch the tape again, you know, you would see his discreet manner of adding pressure. You would see it. It's very subtle. But you see, when he's that with him looking down.
Yeah, he keeps contact.
That's when he's actually
He's
exerting
looking.
pressure
Yeah.
on his neck. That's what he was doing. He knew that man dead.
Yeah.
He knew it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the length of that is just no.
Yeah.
8 minutes. It's
Yeah.
He knew what he was
So-
doing.
Yeah.
yeah. There's just
So the clip of the video you just saw was who brutally murdered George Floyd. That was just a few seconds, but like the clip was just a few seconds of that full video and the full time that he had his knee on George Floyd's neck, which was again 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
I think the part that also upsets me so much when I watch it is that he's, you know, he's not
Yeah.
fighting
He's
or
not
being
fighting.
combative
Yeah.
or anything like
Handcuffed,
that. Handcuffed, exactly.
Handcuffed.
So it's just like
pleading.
that's the part where I'm like, that's definitely
Yeah.
excessive.
You know?
He's contained. I don't feel like that was necessary.
Yeah.
And he was telling them that he told them at one time, George told them at one point, at one time that, okay, like he was, you know, like a child you're trying to discipline. And he's saying, okay, Dad, I'm not going to do it again. If you interpret what the verbiage of what he said in that moment of death, you will come to see how heartbreaking this is.
Yes.
You know, and he was pleading for his life. Okay, and I don't even want to bring the fact that he called his mother. Of course, his mother, and he
Yeah.
called his mother for a reason.
Yeah.
And like once someone suggested that it could be the moment when he was, you know, passing through,
Yeah.
and he could have seen his mother.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and he beckoned for her.
Mm.
You know,
So this this image is hard to watch, and it's heartbreaking and horrifying, and of course, even more horrifying for George himself to have gone through that. And so, you know, in thinking about this show today, I wanted to talk about what happened, but I also wanted to talk about what do we do to move forward. Because I kept feeling feelings of hopelessness whenever I watched this. But, you know, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. And the other thing about this whole thing is the difficulty that you may, everybody else would face would be the fact that we may not have any ending to this thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can sit down, kneel, congregate,
Yeah.
and inside of under a month, some bizarre nonsense would happen somewhere.
Yeah.
In it, you know, not too far from here. Why is this happening? I will tell you why. You know, and it's about time that people wrap their heads around this. I'm not saying it's the best information that I'm going to pass out there. No, I'm using what is called deduction. Deduction is the process of trying to find out what you know without me telling you what you know. So a lot of people don't know this, even as it is visibly present before them. That the reason that you see these things happening for 400 years is because the KKK, the Nazi Party, all these racial elements, they have infiltrated your police force.
Right.
It is the only way they can justify the killing of a brown man, a black man, and all other minorities.
Right.
It is their only way. So to begin to get to this, you have to do, it's like someone doing what is called soul searching and say, okay, I want to stop this. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to stop this, doing this. That's a soul searching thing. How are we going to weed these people out of the force?
Yes.
Because they're incredible people. They're incredible police officers. I've met some
Yeah.
in my life.
Right.
Not only that, but
Incredible.
you know, with you know, the whole idea of mob mentality. You know, you have a
Yeah.
cop doing this, and then it you know,
Yes.
people feed off of that, and it escalates. And I think that not only is it dangerous for the people that it's dangerous for other officers. That they're putting themselves a little more greater risk when they're going in, you know, that way. And I really feel like there should be a better way to keep accountability on these police officers. It definitely does need to change.
Especially the accountability part of it where, look, if a cop breaks the law, kills somebody, for example, or abuses somebody because he has what is called the color of authority. He has that. So he abuses it. The prosecutors in the offices should be the ones that will even charge him or her before any outcries. Because they have refused to charge these cops
Right.
with crime.
They're definitely, yeah.
So
definitely.
the cop feels empowered
Yeah.
to do these things. So while you are blaming the police officer, blame the system that protects them in all. And I want the system to protect them, but blame the system for not doing the right thing in so many instances. You know, that is the point.
Yeah. My friend's husband is a police officer for Houston, and I've known them for 15 years, and he's a very good man, you know? So I think about that too, because, you know, if he's in a situation and it gets escalated, everybody's in danger.
Everybody's in danger.
One that, you know, people that, and it just, there definitely needs to be.
And a shout out before you go, a shout out for the Houston police.
Art
that
Acevedo.
man. What's his name again?
Art Acevedo. He
Believe
came
me.
out in March. You know, he was there a few days ago. He was there yesterday. He's out with the people.
Where has where has that been?
Yeah.
You know, because watch.
Yeah.
It must be a completely rogue
Yeah.
that will go do this because
Yeah.
not under his watch will you
Correct.
see these kinds of things happen.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's from the top.
God bless.
Yeah, indeed. So, yeah, I agree with you. We need to weed out I'm not even going to call them cops. They're murderers. We need to weed out these murderers. We need to weed out those who are not there to serve and protect. Yeah. And I think that one of the ways that we do this, or that we make sure justice is that we require it. Speak against this. We require them to hold people accountable. One of the ways is to go out and march, and one of the ways is you can see Chief Art. Yes. He's out there with us protesting, saying, letting the whole nation know that Houston doesn't stand for that. He doesn't stand for that.
He's an amazing man.
He is amazing. And we appreciate having him as a cop, having him as a police chief, and standing by us as we require people to uphold laws. And so, one of the ways is to weed out, one of the ways is to speak up. And we saw that, after testing, more charges were brought. Today, we just found out today that the first cop who had his knee on George Floyd, he was first charged with third-degree murder. They have up today second-degree murder. There were no charges before for the other cops, and now we have aiding and abetting. Yes. Aiding and abetting degree murder. So, do you think that's because to be heard, and we let them know that we won't stand for this?
This is not just people protesting, for example, during the days of Rodney King. It was just basically in LA it happened. Mm-hmm. Right. It's just basically in LA. But this has an element about it, again, that is almost spiritual. Because I've seen a number of white congregate on an issue that concerns a black man. But that's why to let people know that everybody has a soul. Yeah. Has a soul. Yeah. And what you say is that, a manifestation of that particular thing that people have.
For me too, what I realized on social media and just social media and the people that I interact with on there, I've definitely seen a lot more people ask questions about, you say these things like white privilege and I honestly, they're brave enough to say, I really don't know what you mean by that. I think that's important that people are starting to ask those questions and are being open to learning something. Yeah. Because a lot of them just aren't aware. They don't understand the concept of it, specifically because they've never experienced.
Right. So, take a quick commercial break. I know you say so. I want you to say it when we come back, please. So, right back. Yeah.
Bacteria and viruses like COVID-19, as well as indoor toxins, are a serious and sometimes deadly risk for your children, your loved ones, and your employees. Earth Blue Systems is the solution that ensures a sanitization and odor elimination process by using ozone, nature's powerful and safe oxidizer. As a matter of fact, there are no known bacteria or viruses which are resistant to ozone and its oxidizing effects. Ozone is the most powerful disinfectant available, for harsh chemicals or detergents. Ozone gas this process leaves absolutely no residue. Clothing, bedding, and linens will be sanitized and smelling fresh and clean, but most importantly, sanitized. Food is not harmed. In fact, ozone is approved by the FDA as a food additive preservative and is commonly used for water purification. Earth Blue Systems technology is a less costly alternative to other methods of solving mold and air quality issues. Take a strong and decisive step to keep your family and company odorless and safe. Contact Earth Blue Systems at 713-419-7506.
Hello, I'm Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator for Harris County. April 1st is National Census Day, and it has never been easier to respond on your own, whether online, over the phone, or by mail, all while maintaining social distance and without having to meet a census taker. By being counted in the 2020 census, you will help determine funding for emergency services that are critical to helping us respond to COVID-19 and other disasters, flooding, hurricane. We all count, and we all get to shape our future by participating in the 2020 census. You have until August 14th to participate, but don't wait. Do it. Visit 2020census.gov for more information.
We are watching a protester asking a police officer to kneel with him, and that officer takes a knee and brings people together.
There's so much
That's amazing.
emotion.
Yeah.
Just started to see him sing.
Look at that.
Took a knee.
Look at that.
He looked in his eye and took a knee.
And this it's
And
it's,
how-
you
Yep.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone wants to be
How
heard.
can you get enough of this?
So-
Yeah.
You know.
So we just saw a police officer take a knee with a protester after being asked to do so. And we saw the hope and the solidarity that it brought,
Yes.
and thankfully people are seeing the other side and understanding and
opening
themselves up.
Yeah.
So before we were talking about change, and we were talking when you were saying, people were saying, hey, you don't know about systemic racism, like white privilege, like here, read this. You know, we were saying, much cliche as this sounds, knowledge is power. And I think that one of the ways we bring about change is first with knowledge.
People being brave enough to ask, and people being willing to share.
Yeah, and one of the big things that I'm seeing now is people are saying, I'm seeing this on social media. You don't understand what white privilege is. Here's this resource to read about it. You don't believe systemic racism exists. Here is this, read on it. You don't understand the plight of Black people in this nation. Go ahead and read this. You don't understand why we defund the police. Read this. There's resource after resource, and it's been helpful, I think, to so many people. They've been helpful. I didn't know about defunding the police. That's something I had no idea about, and I didn't know that. And I've been reading about it. I understand that there's so many social issues that are being enforced or helped by the police, which shouldn't be handled by police.
Yeah.
And so those resources have been helpful to me, and I hope has been helpful to many other people. And it's one of the ways that we bring about change.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, you need to have these discussions, and the more input you can get from other people, the better you can make your own decisions, and it's very important. I think that this is, and people are learning things. I'm happy that we're in a place now that we're starting to be more open to that.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that's happening.
Yeah.
I know for me, I read an article that was shared that was a woman who was explaining her perspective. She was telling a friend who had asked about white privilege, and and she went into kind of her history of her own personal experiences with, and just reading her experiences, you know, brought right things that I hadn't been considered. Well, I've had my own experiences, but hearing other people's really teaches you something.
Sure.
And not only that, it made her more relatable, and I think that's good. It'll cause people to care more about one another.
Change is, I won't say imminent, but it is a desired goal. Is it going to come? You know, again, it can come, you know, gradually. But it will mean that they must hire more minorities, for example. And like the present Houston, he's a minority. It's like, even if it's a white woman that you make a police chief, difference, because women have compassion. I'm saying men have it, but the one that is most likely to show you compassion in this situation, a woman do that too. So they should hire more minorities. And here's another radical idea, and that idea is where you let a greater number of minorities police their neighborhood.
Yes.
If it is a Mexican neighborhood, put 80% of the police there Mexican. Let 80% at least of blacks police black neighborhoods. It's the same way, because you will never see a black police officer in areas like Liver Oaks. If you see one, I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because in the history of this nation, I mean, since I came to Houston, I have never heard in 42 years or 43 years where a black police officer shot and killed a white man. Never. It has never happened. I mean, it could have happened, but I don't say it. I don't have a frequent phenomenon.
Yeah.
So these are the things. That structure has to be in place where 80% of that minority.
I want to ask you, why do you think that would be effective?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the point. If I were, let's say I am Derek, what's his last name? The police officer that surrounded me. If I'm black, first of all, I wouldn't even kneel onto his neck. But let's say that I do out of instinct. And that instinct was to control him, which of course he wasn't struggling. But let's just say he was struggling. And my instinct is to keep him under control so that my other officers can cuff him. I can do that, but I would do it if I did it. It will be in such a manner where I'm conscious of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I'll give him a leeway.
Yeah.
Especially when he says I can breathe. Then that's when I back off again.
Yeah.
But there is this thing about knowing how to apply the force that you so overwhelmingly have. You dress up because putting a police uniform it's huge. That means I can go out and die for you as a cop, and that means you can, because dying for the community that you serve, it's a big sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I doff my hat for them. But by the same token, the disproportionate way of dealing with all these minorities is something that has to be checked. So my thing is, if you put a lot of Mexicans to, I hope I'm saying that word right.
Right, like if you put
Spanish
Hispanic people to police Hispanic neighborhoods.
Exactly. It will help. No Hispanic police officer will go out and start hurting his own people. It's just human nature. It's like mother, child, father, parents, and children. You don't hurt your own children.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it would be a good way to do it.
I agree with that. I think that is a place to start.
Yes.
I think that we need, like you said, more minorities in places of power and more minorities policing
their own
neighborhoods. I totally agree with that.
Yes.
I totally agree with that.
You know?
Well, I was just gonna say, I know for me, definitely, like how I mentioned before, the accountability, but I'd also like to see, I mean, being a police officer, it's a stressful job.
Very.
It is so stressful. And I personally would like to see more benefits given to them and their families, more resources for them to seek help that they need, you know, because they go through a lot of traumatic things in a high stressful job. I really feel that they should be taken care of with their, you know, being offered resources for mental health help.
Yeah.
For not just them, but their families, because their families, you know, they support them. So it, you know, you can't have one without the other. And I think that's very important. I also feel like it shouldn't be stigmatized. I know for myself in the military, you know, going to go see a therapist was just something you did not do.
Course. Right, yeah.
It was discouraged.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that not be the thing anymore. I would like to be able to see these people getting these resources or being given these resources so that they can be kept track of with their mental health, because
And also, they have to institute a universal policy. If I'm a cop and you're giving me hell because I'm trying to arrest you, there's a rule of thumb where you do not go for my neck.
yeah.
Correct.
No matter, because all I have to do is to grab your hand. You and I can struggle.
Yeah.
But the moment you let someone put a chokehold on somebody,
Yeah.
and I think even at this very moment that they are taught not to do that.
Yes.
But the reason that you see these things happen, some of them, they do it instinctively without knowing they've done it.
Right.
So if you have more than one officer there, and one officer has a chokehold on somebody, they should take responsibility
Correct.
immediately to correct that moment
Yes.
as it is happening.
Yes.
They can't just stand complacently around.
There's no
And
time
do
to do
nothing.
that. No time.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, is they're not something across the board. They are this training, but it's different everywhere.
Okay.
It's not the same everywhere, and it's not something I think that is. I mean, it's there, but I don't think they're held accountable. It's not like rules of engagement